G'day guys, how's it going? My name is Aza Whitnall and this is Aza World Sport, where each week I talk about various different news, stories and topics from within the world of sport, but predominantly football. And today is a very exciting day because Euro 2016 officially kicks off. And these are my predictions for the big tournament, starting with the home nations. Northern Ireland coming into this tournament, I think it's a wonderful story, but unfortunately I just don't quite think they have the quality to get out of their group because they are in a very, very tough group along with Poland, Ukraine and Germany. I think their players are going to do very well. Obviously, they've proven themselves in the qualifiers when you look at the likes of Carl Lafferty in particular. But and obviously, coming into this tournament, Will Grigg with that fantastic chant of his. But I just don't quite see them having enough strength to get out of their group. I do hope they do manage to at least get a point or a win, though. So keeping my fingers crossed for them. Moving on to Wales, and I mean, hey, they've got Gareth Bale, one of the best players in the world right now. But it's not just him, it's not a one-man band. I think there's more to Wales than that when you look at the likes of Joe Ledley, Joe Allen, of course, being the Welsh Xavi or the Welsh Pirlo, Williams in defence, and of course Aaron Ramsey in midfield. I think Wales will get to the last 16 or maybe even the quarterfinals. I think that they've got more than enough quality to get out of the group. They are in the same group as England, Russia and Slovakia, and I think they're going to finish in second place. So I think Wales are going to have a fantastic time at their first major international tournament for 58 years. And finally, moving on to England in the home nations. Let's get real. England's players play in the best and strongest league in the world. So I don't really see there being any excuse as to why England cannot get to the semi-finals here at Euro 2016. They've got a very good, exciting team that I think has a good balance of youth and experience. I just hope that they're managed the right way and that the tactics do come along nicely because as well as the qualifications were, let's face it, they didn't have the strongest opponents. But in friendlies, they have shown, obviously, some very good performances when you look at the Germany one, for example. So hopefully we'll see that side of England more at Euro 2016 than we have at previous international tournaments in the last decade or so. Moving slightly further afield now, the Republic of Ireland, who are in the same group as Belgium, Italy and Sweden going into this tournament. Now, don't forget, this tournament is unique because it's the first time 24 teams are allowed to play at the Euros. So what that means is that the top two from every group goes through, but then 4 of the best third place finishing teams in each of the groups also goes through to make up the last 16. And I think Ireland could sneak into the last 16. It's going to be tough, and it does depend on what kind of mood Italy and Sweden are in. But aside from Belgium, I think that's a fairly even group. I think Belgium will win that group. I think Belgium, them along with 3, maybe 4 other teams are my favourites to potentially win this tournament or at least get to the semi-finals. But that's how I see that group going. I think it's going to be tough. For me, that is the group of death, but I could see Ireland potentially getting out of that. My favourites for the tournament are France. The reason being is because when you look at their squad, they have the most exciting young squad in the competition, in my opinion, just edging out the likes of England, Spain and Belgium, who I think are the 4 teams that will make it to the semi-finals in this tournament. Those of you who are going, what about the world champions Germany? Hold on just a moment. But when you look at the likes of Kingsley Coman and Martial, obviously the more attacking flair for them, the likes of Paul Pogba, Payet and Kante in midfield, it does send shivers down your spine a little bit just to think that you could be lining up against them and the fact that they're all so young. So very exciting for France. History also backs them. In the last 20 major international tournaments that have been held around the world, when you look at World Cups and European competitions, the host nation has only ever won them twice out of those 20 occasions. Both times it was France. In 1984, they won the Euros. And then, of course, famously, in 1998, they won the World Cup on home turf. So that's another reason why I'm backing France to win this tournament. The other team that I fancy to make up the semi-finals, along with England, Belgium and France, is Spain. I think they have a real point to prove after such a shocking World Cup. And even though they haven't had the easiest ride into the European competition, let's face it, they had a bad result when they won the World Cup in their opening game when they lost 1-0 to Switzerland. So who knows, maybe this kind of dodgy form they're on going into the tournament, they're kind of getting out of their system before we really get kick-started with it all. Finally, moving on to the world champions Germany. The reason I haven't actually picked these guys to make the semi-finals, I think they'll make the quarter-finals, is because these guys have struggled a fair bit since the World Cup. just simply because certain players have retired. They haven't had the best of luck with injuries, and yeah, it just hasn't necessarily been the best 2 years for them. So I don't see them being quite as strong as the 4 teams that I mentioned, but at the same time, this is Germany. They are incredibly efficient, and they are the world champions. So more than likely, they're going to prove me wrong. Some of my dark horses for the competition. You always have to put Portugal in there just because of one man, CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the best players to have ever graced a football pitch. He's only 3 goals away from being the all-time leading goal scorer at the European Championships. So who put it past him to do that when obviously you see the kind of form that he's been in, pretty much his entire career, really. So wouldn't put that beyond him. And again, I can see Portugal getting out of their group. But a team I can see qualifying with them from their group is the team that basically stopped Holland coming from this tournament, and that is Iceland, who have qualified for their first international tournament for the first time. And with the likes of Gylfi Sigurdsson and Gudjonsson in their team, I actually think they could get out of their group and get to the last 16, maybe even the quarterfinals. Croatia, always a dark horse for me because, again, they seem to be very efficient at international tournaments. Poland, with Robert Lewandowski, you just never know what's going to happen. He's obviously one of the hottest strikers in Europe, and they've proved to be fairly tough opponents in recent years, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did mount a bit of a challenge. I reckon they'll get out of their group and get to the last 16. And then the real interesting one, which you probably wouldn't think of, is Romania. Why? Because they haven't actually conceded an away goal in the whole of the qualifying coming into this tournament. And obviously, they're playing away from home. So who knows? Could we have another Greece on our hands? But those are my predictions for Euro 2016. I predict that France are going to win it, as much as I would love England to. Hopefully they can have a great tournament. But what do you guys think? Do you think France will win it, or do you guys have another major favourite? Do you feel that there's anyone I may have missed off of my predictions? Do you see there being any flops at this tournament, or any major surprises like we saw at Greece, or with Greece at Euro 2004? So please comment below and let me know. Remember, for all things wildlife, adventure and sport, that AZAWorld is your place, and I will see you guys again soon.